Welcome to Corey Turner Talks Cars. We're back here with Jamie, and we're talking about his 1933 Factory 5 Racing Ford Replica. Today we want to talk about that. This is over 700 and something pages of how he put that together. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, so a 750-page manual. You know, with a car that has so many options and different ways to build it, it's difficult to really put a manual together that tells you how to do everything.
Right.
But Factory 5 has done a really amazing job just putting together an outline for you to go through step by step. If you hit somewhere where you can't work on it, it gives you an opportunity to jump to another area, so you're not losing time waiting on a part or something like that you may.
And that probably happens quite a bit, right? You get to a point and you're like, oh, I got to order another part or I need something different.
So what I will tell you is that Factory 5 does a great job of putting together a turnkey kit for you. But as you well know, working through building a hot rod, every day you see something that you want to add, you want to upgrade, you visit the local parts store. And so you find yourself to where, well, I don't want to do that, I'm going to upgrade that or put something else different in it. And then of course it'd been great if you would have figured that out 2 weeks ago and you'd had it ordered. But that's not the way things work out.
So now this was your first build, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And you think that Factory 5 was the right choice for you?
I think it was.
Right.
You know, if I would have been left to just go out and find a car, I think that I would have really struggled, just because I would have had to go through it, figure out what it is that I could keep, was worth keeping, and then try to kind of piece together all the elements of getting that back together. I really, from the get-go, this was an investment for me and my wife, and she understood that, and she was part of the decision-making on that. And so I knew that I had to be successful in the end. And so with that, I needed to build it keep it as simple as possible. I needed to be successful. I went with a 302, which is basically what the car was designed to have in it. I didn't try to add a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that we ended up doing, but as far as the following the manual, there's nothing really crazy that we did there.
Now, in your original design, you didn't have the fenders, right?
Right. So I had never intended for this vehicle to have fenders. I love the look without the fenders.
So what changed your mind, Jamie?
So when I got this car to the go-karting stage, basically I had everything wired, everything plumbed, brakes were working. I drove this thing half a mile down the road. And I came back and I pulled it into the shop. And this is probably a good time to tell you that everything ran perfectly, but when I pulled it into the shop, the top radiator hose blew off.
Of course, right? There's got to be something.
So
wouldn't be fair if you were the one person who came back without something on the test track.
And then, so after I got done cleaning up all the water and antifreeze from that, I then spent the next 20 minutes vacuuming out my front seat from all the rocks and pebbles that flew up. And at that point, you know, you have to kind of make a business decision, I guess. At the point that you decide to put an 8-foot star on the side of your vehicle, you might want to protect it a little bit.
That's true.
So I think it's important for me to also to point out that that's not a wrap. It is painted.
That's amazing.
And so so I opted to have the fenders put on. 121 Rod and Restoration did the fenders, and they did an absolute amazing job because I wanted them really tight to the vehicle. And honestly, I can't imagine the vehicle now without fenders.
You know, because I've seen your pictures. We talked about that on the last video about when you had your vision board basically up there without them. But this it completes the look for me. So now on your first car, so this is your first build.
Yes.
And so how many hours was it? I mean, what went into making this?
So my best guesstimate is I have about 1,600 hours myself getting it to the point that I handed it off to the shop to do the final body fit up. There were some modifications. Now, by all means, I want to give them credit too, because I took this car, I took it to go-kart stage. I had it running wired. It would start and run and drive down the road. There was not a body installed on this vehicle when they came and picked it up. So they fit the fiberglass. All the panels from Factory 5 come oversized, so they don't really fit to begin with. You have to cut them down to get them to fit, and then you have to gap them.
Okay.
And that just being somebody that's had 2 back surgeries, that I knew going in that was something that at some point
I need
in
a
time
little
I was
help
going to
with
have.
that part.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yep.
That I was going to have to end it off. But they also were an intricate part in coming up with some of the modifications as far as like the rear tail lights.
Okay.
Us doing those. Essentially what they are motorcycle or Harley lights in the
Okay.
front.
Okay.
There. And then just did an absolutely amazing job on the layout. And I honestly, so I went out to help Corey do the masking the day that we were
Right.
going to paint the
Okay.
star.
Were you
And
nervous about how that was going to go?
I was nervous.
Yeah, I
was
would
really
imagine.
nervous. And so one of the things.
Did they try to talk you into say, hey, maybe a wrap is better?
No.
No? Okay, okay.
We were going to do paint. We were going to do paint from the get-go. And now what I will tell you is that day we were fixing to start taping off.
Okay.
Corey came up to me and he pulled me aside and he said, Jamie, are you sure you want me to paint a star on the side of this car? And I looked at Corey and I said, Corey, there's no question.
That had the star.
There's no question. And so it's funny now, we talk about the wraps, that people will come up and actually run their finger
Just to
across
see.
it.
Yeah,
to see if
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
sticker.
absolutely.
And those of you...
Well, it doesn't look like wrap. I don't mean that. It
Right.
looks amazing, but it's so like perfect
Right. It's
that it's hard to believe that it was painted.
I just can't. I mean, and you said it earlier, and I'm not trying to make it more than what it is, but it is an absolutely gorgeous car to see in person.
Yes.
It's,
Absolutely.
it's just it picks up all the details. It has such clean body lines.
Yes.
And I really, if there's one thing I pat myself on the back for is just holding and standing my ground on keeping the hardware for the door handles off of it.
Yeah.
So that basically
Get
is
it
a blank
shaved down,
canvas.
right? Yeah, that's exactly
it's a
what
blank
you did. That's
canvas.
right. It is true. A lot of times we'll show up, we'll look at a car, we'll look at if it's a replica or a kit car, and it's like, it looks great in the pictures, and then you show up and it's like, okay, there's a lot of stuff. I've walked around this car and around this car. I've been inside this car, under the hood, in the trunk. It's just, I got to tell you, Jamie, it's probably one of the best put together cars I have seen. It's so well put together. I should be looking at the camera while I'm talking, and I'm just looking at the car.
I was just thinking to
I don't
myself.
know why I put the car right behind the camera. That probably wasn't a good idea, right? Are you?
Corey, I find myself
hey.
doing the same thing.
It's almost like we forget we're filming. We're just sitting here like, wow, that is really nice. Now we're going to do another video, and you're going to on another day, and you're going to tell us about some of the custom stuff you
Okay.
did. But I do want to talk about the tips
Okay. All
because
right.
those are so cool.
Okay.
So yeah, tell us about those.
So it's got to be probably the most talked about, and I have to throw this in here just because anybody that's talked to me at a car show knows this. So the only other question that I get asked about more than the tips
Okay.
are is this a Prowler?
Okay.
Everybody thinks it's a Plymouth Prowler.
Okay, I can
And-
kind of see that maybe you totally, yeah.
Right. So I
customized
started
one.
this. In fact, I started this
Not a
whole
Prowler.
hashtag not a Prowler.
Yeah, that is true. It is not a Prowler.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I
It's
guess
the
the
fenders,
the
I
trunk,
think,
and the fenders
and
out
the
front.
fenders,
That's
yeah,
probably what
yeah.
it does. Yeah.
And so,
But
but
it's
anyway,
not.
back to your so the tips. The second thing that people ask me about are and I guess it's just a detail that most
Right.
people wouldn't think about. I actually was going with the ovals, the standard ovals that
Sure.
were provided,
Right.
and because they were really good quality. But I just started looking at what my options were, and lo and behold, I actually found an off-the-shelf stainless steel star-shaped tip, and I had to get it from Australia. Of all places, and they couldn't promise me it was going to take 12 weeks, and they couldn't promise me that both of them would come at one time.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I ended up did get both of them at one time, and it's just
Well, it
man.
just completes the car because
Yeah.
like everything is like, oh, that's a perfect touch. That's a perfect
Yeah.
touch, and then all of a sudden you're like, that. Who would have thought about going that extra
Well,
step?
and one thing I want to say, and I tell people this at car shows too, is that you will never hear me deny that this is a cowboy themed car. But there's absolutely nothing on the car that says cowboy.
Yeah, no, and that's what's funny. It's like it screams cowboys in a very loud, subtle way, which is a weird thing to say, right?
As about as subtle as you can driving down the road with an 8-foot
right? I mean,
star.
it's not even a full star, and yet
Right.
this is a Dallas Cowboys car, which you've loved your entire life. I've loved my entire life
Yeah.
too, right? So
Yeah.
to combine your cars and that. Now, north of 350 horsepower.
Yes, sir.
Weighs about 2,500 pounds, so it goes
Right.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
And now your wife was a part of this journey with you, right?
Right,
So you guys
right.
go out and drive this thing together.
Yeah.
Because now she said no to the helicopter.
She said no to the helicopter. Yeah.
How was she on the hovercraft?
So I think she would have been. I think I would have had to probably just go through some logistics on that.
Okay.
But I really do, even to this day, think that the hovercraft. I would have been not happy
Right.
with that.
Very limited in how you can use it.
Right. Yeah.
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 So, but she kind of helped you with some of it, right? I think
So-
you said the differential. and
Yeah,
stuff.
so
helped you with some of it?
she helped me, and I'll be honest with you. I mentioned this in my first build.
Right.
It was the first time I dropped an engine. I had a couple Cowboy fans come over and help me drop the engine
Okay.
in. But my wife and I actually mated the transmission and the engine together.
That's excellent.
So she helped me with that, and she actually helped me too with the rear differential.
That's awesome. So the fact that it's like a team effort, right?
Oh, yeah,
It's a
yeah,
family project. I think you said that she does think about it when you're going 75 miles an hour down the road, that
Right.
two people who have never put cars together before put this one together.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that unless you've built a kit car, been around one, or a
Yeah.
replica, you don't think about the fact that, oh yeah, I built this.
Yeah, what I will tell you is that if something comes loose, there's really no one else to blame. But
Yeah,
yourself.
it's all. And I will say, I feel a little better in that than the helicopter.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a much
Definitely. You know what? There's been times that especially when I first had finished the car, that because you have to open up the trunk to get the gas tank to the gas tank on it.
Right.
So you'd pop that, and I wouldn't close it all the way or something. And so I'm driving down the road, within the first mile or so, and I see it in the mirror. I see
Right.
it bouncing. Those are not the type of mistakes that I'd want to make with a helicopter.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, wise choice for many reasons. But yeah. All right, so guys, we need your help. We need you to vote. We need you to click the link here in the description. We need you to vote for Jamie and his amazing Ford in the Ford Hall of Fame. We have a chance to put the first Cowboy fan into the Ford Hall of Fans, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. I made it. But we have that chance, and we can do it. So we need you to vote. You need to vote every day between now and February 1st to put Jamie and his passion for the Dallas Cowboys and this amazing car into the Ford Hall of Fans. We want to be sure to do that. So be sure to subscribe, like, comment, share us with your friends, and let's talk about cars tomorrow. 700 pages. I had so much ADD. Man. Oh, but it is detailed.
Yeah.
They do a really good job.
Yeah,
Look
they
at
do.
that.
They do really. And I'll tell you what. There's. I know that other people have had some different. I guess challenges with them.
Right.
There were several times. So when you get this kit shows up. It shows up in 29 boxes. 11 fiberglass.
They're all this big.
11 fiberglass body panels, and then a welded chassis. Okay.
Okay.
And then you have 45 days to do inventory. And they give you a list of and we're talking about 2,500 plus.
You got to go
bolts,
through every
nuts,
part.
washers.
Wow.
But what I will tell you is that there were a couple items that I had to reach out to them, and the next day, they were next day.
That's awesome. So they totally took care of you.
Took care of me. If I ever had a question about whether it be the manual or about something on the car, I could call them. There's also, so one of the things I didn't mention to you is that one of the reasons that I went with them is they actually offer a 3-day build school in Michigan, Michigan,
Really?
at a local community college. That I actually flew up there. Me and 12 other guys spent the weekend putting together with some instructors.
Right.
And they didn't so much talk about how to put the car together, but what not to do.
Gotcha.
And so it was just so helpful to
That
be
is
familiar
really big.
with it.
Well, it gives you a little bit of confidence that you
Right.
didn't have before.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they've got a great forum that you can reach out
That's
to,
cool.
online forum that you basically, these guys have built this car before, and they'll either say, yeah, I had that issue, or
Yeah.
hey, think about doing this.